impeccable.
All right, here we are in the game, guys. This is game number 4 of a best of 5. We have your red Terran player in the bottom left-hand location. He's 1 win away from advancing on to the round of 16 of the 2013 MLG Winter Championship Heart of the Swarm event. He is MVP. And his opponent in the top right-hand location trying to make an upset happen. He must win 2 games in a row. Representing Team Millennium, he is Feast.
Looking very intense. There is the man from Belgium.
Yep.
I'm really excited to see this match. I think Cloud Kingdom is a map Feast could take, but the one thing I'm worried about, if it gets into that 3-base versus 3-base situation, Cloud Kingdom is one of the hardest maps to defend against drop play. What Terrans can do here is they can put drops, medevacs at the top of the map. And from the very top of the map, they can strike to your third. But if you put your army in your third, they can just ignite afterburners straight over the top of the map, head into your main, and it's such a long ground distance to get from your third back to your main. Not to mention the fact it could also be strikes into your natural as well. So very difficult to handle multi-prong attacks on Cloud Kingdom, but that also applies in early game with the Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, and of course, as the game goes along, this map just gets more and more interesting as the bases are in a very interesting, at least forward progression, as well as a backwards progression. It's really hard to explain, but you know, if High Templars are utilized from Feast, there's a lot of places you can kind of hide those High Templars and try to get those Money Storms down. There's a lot of attack paths that you must be aware of, especially in the PBT matchup. And if you're not watching it, you know, you could lose a Nexus. As simple as that. If you're not having an observer in the proper location, you can lose, you know, 10, 12, 14 workers if you're not really careful. So I feel like the story of this game is going to be how relentless is MVP going to be with those drops, and is Feast going to be able to handle the multitasking ability of not only the Terran race, but again, the King of Wings, MVP.
MVP again opening with that same build, you know, the barracks and the gas. I anticipate to see probably a reactor go down after this and then the expansion. And you know, he's won every time he's done this build. He used it defensively in game 1 to great effect, and then in game 3 he said, you know what, if you're gonna macro, I can use the Widow Mines and Marines and fast medevacs aggressively as well. Not to mention the fact that he doesn't really have to do damage because his expansion is gonna be faster than Feast.
Feast changing things up a bit, not making a single unit. No single unit, not even making a second gas. Mothership Core just now being added on the field, able to get that Nexus down. You know, I'm a little bit surprised. Like, a danger of not getting a unit before this Nexus goes down is, what if your opponent blocks with an engineering bay? That could have been something great that MVP could have done there, but I guess he might have been expecting the double gas opening that he's been seeing all 3 games in this series. So MVP's SCV is going to be knocked out. The good news is he spotted that natural expansion. He spotted the timing of the gas. He spotted the timing of that Mothership Core, so he knows exactly what to expect from his opponent.
Feast probes scurrying around the map, trying to find potential proxies, maybe hide pylons in different corners of the map. A lot of different potential reasons we're seeing that probe out there. MVP, of course, upon seeing Feast with that fast Nexus, decided to put his command center on the low ground instead of the high ground, but he's still going to progress up to the same build. Factory, reactor, barracks, starport soon to follow, and then of course he'll probably try to put on some pressure with those medevacs.
Sneaky probe up there in the top left. We'll definitely keep an eye on what he ends up doing as he places a pylon down for now. Meanwhile, again, MVP going with, you know, the safe build, you know, opening up with the reactor onto the barracks, churning out a few Marines. He has that factory, so he can switch that over if he wants to add in Widow Mines twice at a time if he feels like it. There's a Twilight Council at the top left-hand side of the map.
I think this is going to be Dark Templar, and this is a build I love to see being used. A very fast expansion straight into Dark Templar. Very few Terrans will be ready for it. And the amazing thing is you can still get the Mothership Core, the Sentry, and 1 or 2 Stalkers out because that Dark Shrine costs a little bit less gas. The one thing that's going to be scary, though, is can he defend these drops well? Because, of course, building that Twilight Council and the Dark Shrine is going to mean he has less resources to allocate to units back at home to defend. Mothership Core is definitely going to be key here.
Feast still with only 1 gateway on the field, and Warp Gate is about to finish. So not scared at all about any potential early aggression here from MVP. Of course, MVP focusing on the economy and tech. Like, it's kind of the same as his opponent. We see MVP proceeding on to the Starport. We see Feast proceeding on to the Dark Shrine. Again, prioritizing the tech and the economy rather than getting a lot of units out on the field.
Feast is getting that Photon Cannon to defend his main, knowing because he's short on units, you definitely want that there. Also, of course, without Observers early, Widow Mines can be a real pain to deal with. You definitely do not want to let those guys into your mineral line. Getting the armor upgrade as well and Chrono boosting that. So yet again, we're going to see Feast with that upgrade advantage. MVP spots his proxy pylon.
That's... if I'm MVP, I'm like, okay, I'm going to look around elsewhere for pylons too.
Yeah,
After seeing that one, I mean...
He definitely knows there's some more out there. Is he going to commit the Marines to the very corner of the map?
No.
Oh, he sees the probe come back, and that relentless probe could mean that there's Dark Templar on the way. eBay is only halfway done, but will the Marines find a Dark Shrine? If they do, that's going to be so unfortunate for Feast. Oh.
Wow, this is a huge blow. Feast's entire hand has been shown to MVP. The pylon taken out, the Dark Shrine going to be targeted down, the Twilight Council already being remade. Feast trying to rescue his tech buildings with those 2 Stalkers. And gosh, this is just the worst feeling in the world as a Protoss player when you get your tech scotted like that. But MVP has to be feeling very good about himself.
He does. I mean, the missile turret will be up. He's not going to take any damage at all from the Dark Templar. Feast has to remake that Twilight Council, like you said, because he wants to get, charge most likely here. Yeah. But of course, if you research charge at the top left location, once MVP knows about it, that can be taken out very easily with the drop later on.
He's actually losing a Stalker to a Marine.
A little bit distracted there with that Widow Mine as it ran into his natural. There's also a Medevac in his main getting some more damage done there. Feast is going under severe pressure here. Another Widow Mine gets behind the middle line. Luckily, the Nexus, with the help of the cannon, can see it and take that out. So Feast is going to minimize the damage done here. But he's unable to do any damage in return. Yeah. His Dark Templar just been used to control the map, get vision. Well, one of them tried to bravely venture in there, but Widow Mine at the front took that guy out as well.
The Photon Overcharge there, almost taking down that Medevac, but he's going to get away. 55 HP, he's just fine. Might even go to the top left and take care of that Dark Shrine and the Twilight Counts. But MVP has to be feeling super incredible. Again, he had that turret in place. He's fine there. He's building up that Marine Marauder army, adding on additional production infrastructure. We got a 3rd command center on the way, and again, that starport on the already done. So he can start the Medevac production. Maybe even start thinking about doing some timing attacks. Just now starting Stim though. Which is a little bit interesting. I feel like that might be...
It's just the build MVP does. I mean, he spends all his gas early getting the Widow Mines and the Medevacs. Doesn't really need Stim quite as early here. He is going to start it now, though. And it will get finished before he really intends to put on a lot of aggression, because he's not really producing a high quantity of Marines anymore. With double tech lab, only a single reactor barracks. And so up until you get a high Marine count, you really don't put on too much straight engagements as a Terran player. Which means Feast will have Storm out before any important engagement begins. I mean, we talk about how the Dark Templar opening was a complete failure, but you also have to realize Feast didn't put all his chances in that Dark Templar. He also invested into Forge very quickly. He defended that harass by MVP with minimal losses, using minimal units because he invested into the late game. He's got cannons to defend drops. He's got Storm halfway done. +2 armor is finishing, and MVP hasn't even started his armor yet. So we might even see +3 armor finish before MVP gets +2 attack. And that's going to be a tremendous upgrade difference.
Yeah, and a lot of this is going to come down to micro, obviously. Like, if Feast can get those High Templars in appropriate positions, Storm is about to finish. If he can take MVP off guard, if he can get a nice wave of force fields and then follow that up with a money Storm, that can be huge. Not only for his confidence, but for his gaining an advantage in this game. But MVP, he's going to start doing what he does best, loading up. Uh-oh, is this going to get spotted?
Oh, this is just what we were talking about here. The Medevacs can throw into 3rd base. Yeah, but even if Feast moves his army back, the drop can go into 3rd base. There's no way he can defend both locations. The Mothership Core might be instrumental here. He's got 1 cannon in the main. Photon Overcharge is about to be put down, but that's so much bio that Nexus is just going to be focused down. And by the time Feast's army returns, the Medevac can then pop back and take out the 3rd base.
Wow, MVP sniping the Nexus down, and he's not done. Taking down the pylon as well. Going to be loading up all those units and igniting the afterburners. He's out of there, going straight to the 3rd base. That 3rd might die too. Feast throwing down the smiley face. And Feast is just getting, his economy is just getting ripped apart here.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's now the 1 Nexus. There's even a Widow Mine blocking his main, or not quite blocking it, but hanging out in his middle line. And when he tries to transfer probes back, that's going to take out so many probes. MVP with the 3rd base. DT going to be a little bit annoying there. But this is just such a rough spot for Feast here.
MVP playing a fantastic game so far. Storm going down there from Feast. It's essentially what he's going to have to rely on to keep MVP's army at bay and to keep these Nexuses alive, making sure his High Templar are in appropriate positions to use feedbacks. Did that Widowmine get?
He got one more probe kill. Feast showing some great probe split in there. Only letting one more probe die, and again putting a single probe there. So sacrificing probes one at a time, but even one at a time, I mean, it adds up, right? And Feast cannot afford any more losses. Some Zeld harassment going into MVP's third base, but MVP is more than ready for that. The one thing Feast has, though, is he's about to finish +3 armor, so he's going to be very cost efficient. His Zealots, of course, will be up to base armor of 4 against Marines that are only doing 7 damage a hit.
All right, MVP stimming forward, catching some sentries off guard, High Templar off guard as well. Great storm there from Feast, getting a decent amount of damage done. MVP going to be advancing into the natural expansion. He's taking down every Nexus from his opponent. The Nexus will indeed fall, and now he's going to stim away. There's a nice storm from Feast, but at this point, I'm not sure how much it's honestly really going to matter. MVP is going to continue kiting away from his opponent's bio. And there's the GG from Feast. MVP takes the 3-1 victory.